Fabulous. Yeah, orange whip. Yeah, the orange whip is something that everybody should have in their bag. A buddy of mine invented this years ago, and there's different sizes. So this is more of a junior whip. It was easier to travel with, but they're longer. And then all it is, it reminds me of in the swing, and the swing could even be just that little chip back and forth, right? You have to be patient. It reminds me of when I was a kid, and probably when we were all kids. You have that pail of water, and you start swinging it back and forth, and it's kind of cool because you're like, hey, the water's staying in the pail. You don't rush it down. You instinctively feel the handle and the weight of the water in the pail. And then you get to the point where you're like, all right, let me just take it around, and all the water stays in the pail. So with the orange whip, when we get set up, there's an incredible awareness of being patient on both sides of the swing. So now if I make my swing bigger, I feel that at the top, and you don't rush it on either side. Now you can practice a full swing and then recoil. So the orange whip is going to give you the ability to feel smooth with your tempo, patient from the top. Yesterday I talked about full swing fundamentals, and in my swing, the two most important parts of my swing after developing the swing was the patience at the top in the transition, to feel the weight of the club and the free fall in it, and then just working on good tempo. So many years I went to majors. The first major I ever went to was 1983 at Oakmont. And I was all interested at that time in the swing and the mechanics of it, but I ended up leaving with more of an awareness of how smooth these tour players were. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's what I have to do. Then I went to Baltusrol, then I went to Shinnecock and I watched. Then I started playing in tournaments at a high level, and I'm like, wow, tempo and that patience at the top are so important once you've developed your golf swing. If you don't have that smooth transition and you jump it, it doesn't matter how good your mechanics are, you will fail at hitting a good golf shot. So once you have and that's why golf swings that are kind of a little out of position going back by some really good players on tour, going back many, many years too. That's why they still have the ability to hit it really well, because they have that patience at the top to self-correct, and they know where the club is, and they hit it. So I'm going to think about that. I'll go into the full swing here really quick, even though it was a short game lesson, but I like it. And I'm going to think about the patience of the swing. So I'm feeling the weight of the club. I'm visualizing the shot. This is a 9-iron. And I felt real good at the top. I captured that position. Once you capture that free fall, that little bit, that little sit position, you can hit the golf ball as hard as you want if you have good fundamentals, and you can't physically hit it hard enough. You stay in control. Usually I would suggest in the end that you experiment with your speed, and then you back off about 5%, 10% at most. And then that's your stock swing. So I'm aware of that. I want to feel that sit and that free fall. Sit and that free fall, and then make the swing. Visualizing the shot. So I know on those two swings I captured that transition beautifully. I felt the club, and the speed just started to increase. It felt amazing. Your arms and hands are nice and supple so that you can get speed. I'm aware of where I want to go in my full swing, just like I'm aware of what I want to do with my chipping technique.